at the rural county tractor meet. So pull your mighty iron horses, pull, show the strength.
And here comes Lynn Luckin from Winger, Minnesota, with a 1987 Ford that he calls Luck and Determination. 572 cubic inch alcohol-injected Ford. With luck and determination. What a bill respect. Almost up. But I don't think the big horsepower truck is going to get a woman like this. Well, just post down. Were you in here when we talked about this last? So Ron Hackenkamp sitting on board, trying to light the fire inside the 530 cubic inch Ford. Almost coming to life. And there we go. Ron Hackenkamp, Plymouth, Minnesota. The 1935 Ford. Remember, 117 feet, 8.5 inches of mark to beat. As Ron Hackenkamp lights the fire inside the 530 cubic inch Ford. And if you can notice the tires on it, you can notice a different cut between the front and the rear tires on Ron's truck out here. He's got sort of a close cut groove on the rear tires, a wider spread on the front tires. And this is one of the strong trucks in the United States. So he's back of the line, getting ready to go. He's on a Plymouth, Minnesota, and here he comes. Here comes Ron Hackenkamp with Chances. 1935 Ford, 530 cubic inch alcohol-injected Ford on board. The green light is on, the green flag, we're waiting for his plate, and here he comes. 117 feet, 8.5 inches, that's the mark to beat. Hackenkamp with Chances. A beautiful run for Ron out there. We'll wait for the official word on it. So Ron Hackenkamp sticking the power right in the ground, right where it belongs, as he takes the 1935 Ford called Chances right on down the track. All right, the judge heads back to the starting line one more time. And for Ron Hackenkamp, a full pull for Ron Hackenkamp with Chances. And the next competitor coming to the line out here, here comes a Chevrolet. On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they were up in Regina, Saskatchewan, where they done a super job out there. And now we're in Brandon, Manitoba, as Steve Moe takes that magnificent looking 1985 Chevrolet back to the starting line. A 1985 Chevrolet 540 cubic inch alcohol-injected Chevrolet on board. He's out of Faribault, Minnesota, which is about 100 miles south of Minneapolis, as he gets ready to go. Here comes Steve Moe with the Saddle Crown. Ford sitting in the number 1 spot. Chevrolet at the line. Sales Tramp, the 1985 Chevrolet. I guess we have a 130-foot track. 130-foot track is what we're running here tonight. So, Emil Burgoyne getting ready to go. Steinbeck, Manitoba, Canada. Runs a Ford chassis, or Ford body, runs an International chassis underneath the machine as he gets ready to pound the power into the ground. Now, most of the competitors that you see here this evening are going to be running alcohol-injected engines on board. Well, Emil Burgoyne has got a 400 cubic inch Ford on board, but he runs it naturally aspirated. In other words, it's got carburetors on it instead of an alcohol injection system. So he's getting ready to run. He's out of Steinbeck, Manitoba, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes Emil Burgoyne with Buried Treasure. Ford setting it at number 1 spot. Another one of the Fords at the line. Emil Burgoyne with Buried Treasure, the 1979 Ford. So Emil Burgoyne pounding the power into the ground out there, coming up just a little bit short. So it looks like Ron Hackenkamp with the Chances machine, the 1935 Ford, will continue to hold the lead here. All right, she's back into the line. We'll get someone over here in just a second or two. Lyle? All right, she's back into the line, getting ready to go. She's out of Winger, Minnesota. As we said, it's a 1987 Ford Super Cab Ranger. It's got a 620 cubic inch alcohol-injected Ford on board. And here she comes, ready to run. She's out of Winger, Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Sarah Lucken with Dusty Rose.
What'd you get it at? 106. Yeah, okay. That's all I needed. I had him all put in the saddle tram, but there's no way in hell. Thank you.
All right, the mechanic's coming out, doing just a little touching to the engine here as she gets ready to run. Remember, she needs a full pull. Otherwise, she's going to finish down in the standings here tonight. So Sarah Lucken setting on board the 620 cubic inch Ford. With Dusty Rose, the 1987 Ford. We'll wait for the distance on Sarah here. She's right out close to the finish line, but did she make it far enough? We'll have to wait to find out. As Sarah Lucken with the Dusty Rose machine, a beautiful looking 1987 Ford Ranger. The judge heading back one more time. Ellen Brown on board, driving the judge. And apparently Sarah just a little bit short on her pull there, so the measurement is being made. And the distance, 123 feet, 1/2 inch. 1, 2, 3. And 1/2 inch for Sarah Lucken with Dusty Rose. So that moves Sarah into the number 2 spot. And well, here comes Holly Mosney. Holly resides in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, and she's going to be driving a 1979 Ford. It's got a 540 cubic inch alcohol-injected Ford on board, and she started driving here in the 1987 season, has been doing just a fantastic job. She's won more than her fair share of pulls, and let's see how she's going to do tonight. But so far, it's Ron Hackenkamp with the Chances Machine, sitting in the number 1 spot. He's got that 1935 Ford, but Holly Mosey coming out onto the track right now, trying to see if she's going to be able to move into the number 1 spot. And here she comes. She's out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. A magnificent-looking 1979 Ford as Holly Mosey is on board. 540 cubic inch Ford getting ready to pound the power to the ground. Remember, she needs a full pull. Anything less than a full pull, and she'll be back in the standings somewhere. As Ron Hackenkamp with the Chances Machine has had a full pull here so far. Holly Mosey backs into the sled, gets ready to pound the power in. They'll drop the hook in the hitch, and she'll be ready to run. She's out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, a magnificent-looking 1979 Ford. Here comes Holly Mosey with Holly's Hobby. With Holly's Hobby. 1979 Ford. A beautiful pass for Holly as she moved right on down the track. So Holly Mosey pounding the power into the ground. As we said before, all the horsepower in the world doesn't do you any good at all unless you can stick it into that pulling surface out there, and that's exactly what Holly done as she had a real nice run. The distance for Holly Mosey, she moves into the number 2 spot with 124 feet, 1/2 inch. 1, 2, 4, and 1/2 inch. So it's Ford holding down the lead, but here comes another one of the big Chevrolets. Here comes a 1987 Chevrolet with a 598 cubic inch alcohol-injected Chevrolet on board. The guy driving it is also out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, and his name is Jack Widowedge. He's sitting on board. You can hear the 598 cubic inch Chevrolet just idling away as he gets ready to turn it loose. As we were saying, 9 coats of hand-rubbed paint on this magnificent-looking 1987 Chevrolet. to the line. Ford starting at the number 1 spot. One of the big Chevrolets starting at the line, getting ready to go. He's out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. His name is Jack Widowitch, and he's driving a truck that he calls Ascension. Ford holding down the lead. Chevrolet ready to make his pass. The green light is on. We'll wait for the drop of the green flag as he gets ready to try to pound that power into the ground. And here he comes, Jack Widowitch with Ascension. Something locking up in the rear end on the machine. As Jack had a nice run going, but something coming apart on the truck. He either had a rear end go or it simply jumped out of gear on him, one of the transfer gears. And now, here comes another one of the Fords. Gary Gallus going to be doing the driving of this machine. And if you want to hear an engine turn some RPM, just hang on. Here comes a 1979 Ford with a 351 cubic inch small block Ford on board. It's also one of the trucks that runs on the national circuit, as most of these competitors do. And he's here tonight, ready to see what he can do here. He's out of Plymouth, Minnesota. His name is Jerry Gallus, and he's back into the line. Now, something else that I failed to mention to you, it's up to each and every competitor to spot that sled any place that they want to. They can spot it on the left-hand side of the track, right-hand side of the track, or right down the middle. Jerry has chosen to put it on the right-hand side of the track. So we'll find out how he's going to do. So he's back to the line, getting ready to go. As we say, he's out of Plymouth, Minnesota. His name is Jerry Gallus. He's getting ready to go. 1979 Ford. 351 cubic inches, and here he comes, Gary Gallus with Foolish Pleasure. So apparently something not quite right with the chain. Switch wrapped around it, and here he comes, Foolish Pleasure, Jerry Gallus. 351 cubic inch Ford. Jerry Gallus with Foolish Pleasure. Beautiful, beautiful run out there for Jerry. He's backing it to the sled, ready to go. A magnificent looking machine. He's out of Cannon Falls, Minnesota. One of the highlights of Fred Smith's career here, I believe it was about a year ago, we were at a pull and Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard was there. And he came on down, got his picture taken with Fred Smith and that Hogg #2 truck. And this truck, Fred Smith and Boss Hogg, were featured in one of the national pulling magazines. So he's here tonight, getting ready to go, driving a 1987 Chevrolet 540 cubic inches from Cannon Falls, Minnesota. Here comes Fred Smith with Hogg 2. sitting in the number 1 spot, Chevrolet at the line. Smith with Hog 2. A nice run for Fred, but not good enough. It looks like that Ford, the Chances machine, is still going to be holding down the lead. But we've got some more yet to go out here. Comes Barry Black, 1981 Chevrolet. Things looking good for Ron Hackenkamp with the Chances machine, as we've got 2 trucks yet to pull in the 4x4 modified class. Ford is holding down the lead, and the last 2 trucks to pull are both Chevrolets. So here we go. Here he comes. He's out of Belmont, Manitoba. Here comes Barry Black with a 1981 Chevrolet, 427 cubic inches. Here comes the Goblin. Ford setting in the number 1 spot. Another Chevrolet at the line. The engine not coming up in RPM for Barry, so he'll be allowed to be dragged back to the starting line one more time. He says, you betcha. Apparently having the wrong gear selected there, so Barry, he'll shift it down to just a little bit of a lower gear, as the Goblin not being able to get the tires spinning out there. And of course, you got to get those tires moving to build up the momentum. So Barry Black with the Goblin heads back to the starting line one more time. As he sets on board, selecting a different gear this time, trying to get the engine to come up in RPM for him. From Belmont, Manitoba, Canada, Barry Black with the Goblin. Barry Black with the Goblin, 1981 Chevrolet. All right, getting ready to go. Last competitor of the class, Ford, starting in the number 1 spot. We see Ron Hackenkamp with the Chances machine pacing over there. If this guy has a full pull, we will have a pull-off. Anything less than a full pull, and we'll have Ron Hackenkamp taking home the victory here tonight. So Bob Widowich coming out here right now. He's out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. It's a 1985 Chevrolet with a 540 cubic inch big block Chevrolet just idling away out there as he gets ready to run. As we said, he's out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. His name is Bob Widowich. He's driving a Chevrolet. It's Ford setting in the number 1 spot. Chevrolet setting at the line, or getting ready to back to the line, getting ready to go. The last competitor up in the 4x4 modified pulling division. Jack Widowich backing into the sled. He's moved it over to the left-hand side of the track. just about staged. The hook going to be made. And here we go. Ford setting it at number 1 spot. Chevrolet up the line. The gentleman on board is out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. His name is Bob Widowich, and he's driving a 1985 Chevrolet 540 cubic inches. Here comes Bob Widowich with the Godfather. Ford setting it at number 1 spot. Chevrolet at the line. Run for Bob Widowich, but coming up just a few inches short, Bob Widowich with the Godfather. Beautiful looking 1985 Chevrolet as Bob Widowich tries to sink the horsepower into the ground out there, but coming up just a little bit short.
Could you quickly give me top 5 as you get the camera? Yeah, I figured so.
All right, the 4x4 modified Pullen division complete here this evening. But remember, we've got the two-wheel drive wheel standing machine setting out there. We've got the Coors Light Silver Bullet jumping combine. And of course, we've got Rack Attack setting out back. As we wait for the measurement on Bob Widowich with the Godfather. And the distance, 116 feet, 3 1/2 inches. That's 116 and 3 1/2 inches for Bob Widowich. Well, we'll tabulate the results here in the 4x4 modified division. First, I'll give you the rundown of the top 5 here. 5th place tonight going to Steve Knoll with the Saddle Trap. 4th place going to Sarah Lucken with Dusty Rose. 3rd place going to Holly Mosby with Holly's Hobby. 2nd place going to Jerry Callis with Foolish Pleasure. And the winner here tonight out of Plymouth, Minnesota, driving a 1935 Ford, Ron Hackenkamp with Chances. So once again, we're going to take about 15 minutes. Run on up, get yourself something to eat, something to drink. Don't forget the novelty stand is open. And we're going to be back in just a little bit. Also, if you simply want to stand up, get the kinks out of your knees, you won't be blocking the view of the person behind you. Apparently. Well, Scott, we got to get rolling here. Why don't we go to the number 2 competitor here, and we'll get ready to go. Lynn, are you ready? He's taking his jacket off, putting the helmet on, and he's going to be ready to fly out here. We'll give Dan a chance to get that machine running, and now here comes a 1985 Mercury Cougar funny car. Lynn Lucken getting ready to go. A beautiful looking machine, as you can hear it come to life over there right now. Lynn Lucken, 1985 Mercury Cougar. As he cranks it over, waiting for that 572 cubic inch Ford to come to life. As he gets ready to stick the power into the ground, it comes to life, and here it comes. You've seen Lynn out here with his 4x4 modified puller just a little while ago. Well, now you see him on board his two-wheel drive wheel standing machine as he gets ready to stick the power to the ground. We'll move Lynn out onto the track, and if Dan gets his running, we'll bring him out whenever he's ready. So Lynn Lucken getting ready to run. He's out of Winger, Minnesota. It's a 1985 Mercury Cougar funny car. It's an authentic Mercury Cougar body on the machine. The hood opens, the trunk opens, the doors open. It's got interior in it, and it's a magnificent looking machine. As Lynn Lucken prepares to pound the power to the ground, the first competitor up, two-wheel drive class. He's out of Winger, Minnesota. You've seen him out here with his 4x4 modified, the Lucken Determination machine. So now Lynn Lucken getting ready to see what he can do here in the two-wheel drive division. As he idles it on back, moving it to the sled. Wouldn't you just love to have that next time you pull up to a signal light, you look over, the RCMP is sitting next to you? All right, the hook being made. They open the trunk lid so they can drop the cable, and we're just about ready to be underway. Two-wheel drive wheels, standing glass, out of Winger, Minnesota. The 572 cubic inch alcohol-injected Ford sitting there getting ready to go. The hook is made. We'll wait for the green light to come on. And here he comes. He's out of Winger, Minnesota. Here comes Lynn Lucken with Hot Brandy. Pounding the power into the ground. Whoa, we got a dose of alcohol over here. He's definitely running alcohol through that motor. Lynn Lucken with the hot brandy machine. Pounding the power into the ground. But now it's up to Lynn. He was the first puller up in the class, so he's got the option whether to keep that pull or reject it and come back later in the event. So we'll wait to see what he's going to do as Lynn Lucken out of Winger, Minnesota with a hot brandy machine. As he shuts the fire off in the machine, Lynn Lucken with hot brandy. We'll wait to see if they're going to keep the pull or will he be coming back. And I understand he's going to keep the pull, so we'll get the measurement on Lynn Lucken with the hot brandy machine. Some of the people who make this sport all possible. So Lynn Lucken sitting out there right now. We'll wait for the judge to head back to the starting line. And official word is he did turn it down. He did turn that pull down. So we will see Lynn coming back once again. And he's going to come back in the last spot, he says. So he'll be the last competitor in the class as Lynn Lucken with hot brandy. And now we're getting ready for that old blue 2 machine to come to life. Here comes a 1978 GMC with a 454 cubic inch blown Chevrolet. We got any Chevy fans here yet? All right, the first competitor coming up right now. It's a GMC with a 454 cubic inch blown Chevrolet on board. Jim Carter going to be doing the driving of this machine. All right, he's got the fire lit. He's bringing it out onto the bullet surface down here as the track is just about prepared. Carter sitting on board the 1978 GMC. just about back to the line. He's out of Kenton, Manitoba. As we said, he's out of Kenton, Manitoba. The driver's name is Jim Carter. It's a 1978 GMC 454 cubic inch blown Chevrolet. And here he comes. Here comes Jim Carter with Old Blue 2. Jim Carter, Old Blue 2. Jim pounding the power to the ground, getting the front end to lift just a little bit on the finish line end of the track. As Jim Carter takes that Old Blue 2 machine on down the track, and we'll have the distance on Jim Carter in a second or two, as Jim Carter will be sitting in the number 1 spot. Gordon Watzke brings to life the 510 cubic inch blown Chevrolet as we get ready to run. He's out of Carsland, Alberta. Gordon Watzke doing the driving, swinging it around, getting ready to bring it to the line. 11 feet, 1/2 inch to mark the beat. And here he comes out of Carsland, Alberta. Here comes Gordon Watzke with the Prairie Rat 1980 Chevrolet. 510 cubic inch of blown Chevrolet under the hood. Gordon Watzke. Remember, 111 feet, 1/2 inch, don't mark the beat. As Gordon Watzke makes a run down the track out there, slinging the tires on the machine. And the tape will go across the track as Gordon Watzke prepares to exit the Prairie Rat machine. Gordon heading right out the back door with that machine. And now we'll await the distance on Gordon Watzke. Remember, it's the Old Blue 2 machine sitting in a number 1 spot at 111 feet, 1/2 inch. And the distance 101 1/2 inch. 101 1/2 inch for Gordon Watzke with the Prairie Rat. Chevrolet sitting in the number 1 spot. We've got a Chrysler machine coming to the line. A Dodge. cubic inch blown Chrysler Hemi. Here comes Stan Schlenker with Obsession. Schlenker with Obsession. A wild ride for Stan out there as he really turned the RPMs out of that 392 cubic inch blown Chrysler Hemi. On back to the starting line. Stan Schlenker at the controls. Heads the Obsession machine out of the arena. So Stan Schlenker coming up just a little bit short out there on his bull. Could we get the record to shut your lights off, please? It's blinding everybody in the grandstand. Thank you. And the distance for Stan Schlenker with the Obsession machine, 93 feet 2 inches. 9-3 and 2 inches for Stan Schlenker with the Obsession machine. Line, here comes a gentleman out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. He's sitting on board on the far side. His name is Kenny Boschman. He's sponsored by Labatt's, by Univision Industries, Matchett Trucking, the Boat Supply House, PV Mart, and Hilltop Ford. It's a 1984 Ford Ranger. It's got a 417 cubic inch all aluminum block Donovan engine on board. It's blown and injected on alcohol, and Kenny Boschman sitting on board, getting ready to light the fire inside that aluminum block Donovan Mahiz. And here we go. It comes to life. Remember, it's Chevrolet sitting in the #1 spot. Jim Carter at 111 feet 1/2 inch. And now Kenny Boschman driving a Ford, the next competitor to move out onto the track. The 1984 Ford Ranger. You can see the body going down. Kenny Boschman is all strapped in and on board. The 417 cubic inch all aluminum block Donovan on board a 1984 Ford Ranger. He's out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Here comes Kenny Boschman with the Univision Outer Blue. see some alcohol fumes coming out of the left rear header on the machine. Hopefully not a sign of trouble. He gets ready to run. Kenny Boschman, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, with the Univision Industries Powder Blue. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Boschman. Had a fairly good hook there, but it looks like he may have melted down a motor. To give you an example of if he melted her down, aluminum block Donovan like that runs right around $20,000. So Kenny Boschman, hey, he's out of the truck. He can hear you now. Let's hear it for him. Kenny Boschman. Well, some go and some blow. So Ken Boschman with the Ford, but he had a nice run out there. We'll wait for the distance on Kenny Boschman, as he definitely was turning the RPMs inside that machine. The Univision Powder Blue. Well, Kenny headed out the back door there. We'll have the measurement on him as the judge heads back to the line. So 111 feet, 1/2 inch, the mark to beat. As Jim Carter with Old Blue 2 sits in the number 1 spot, and we'll wait for the distance on the last competitor, Kenny Boschman. And the distance for Ken Boschman, 110 feet, 1/2 inch. 110 and 1/2 inch, just a little bit behind. And now, the next guy sitting down there, here's a guy who's out of Carmen, Manitoba. He has won 14 out of the last 16 pulls he has made. In Regina, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, he won all 3 days. And he's driving a Chevrolet. He's driving a 1973 El Camino with a 508 cubic inch blown and injected on alcohol Chevrolet. His name is Lee Sandulak. And is there a doctor in the house? You betcha, because he's driving none other than Dr. Hook.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Close enough.
And you want to see those wreckers out there? That's Anderson's Auto Parts down there. That's some of the wreckers that they've got on duty. And we got a couple of them there. And now the doctor comes to life. Whoa, they wave him off as the track is not quite prepared. But Lee's spinning it over. Anyway, I guess they need the box scraper down at this end just a little bit, as Alan Brown, when he cranked the sled to move it over to the left-hand side, dug some ruts down here. So we'll run the box scraper over at one time, and then we're ready to go. Now, Lee Sandulak has moved that sled way over to the far left-hand side of the track. Remember, he's won 14 out of the last 16 times this truck has been in pulling competition. So we're going to see how he does here tonight as he's setting on board. Lee Sandulak driving Dr. Hook, the 1973 El Camino. He's out of Carmen, Manitoba, Canada. A beautiful-looking machine as he gets ready to light the fire. The doctor comes to life, and Lee Sandulak is on board, ready to go. Once again, as we mentioned, he moved it way over to the left-hand side of the track. from Dan Bacon. He'll be ready to go in a little bit here. All right, Lee Sandulak with the doctor. Lee taking a look at things down there on the left-hand side of the track as he gets ready to try to pound the power into the ground. 508 cubic inch blown Chevrolet. All right, back into the line, getting ready to go. 111 feet, 1/2 inch to mark the beat. As he gets ready, he's out of Carmen, Manitoba, Canada. His name is Lee Sandulak, and he's driving a truck that he calls Dr. Hook. And we have just a little bit of a tie-up in the tunnel up there as we're trying to get some of the vehicles around. And it's a little bit of a safety factor here with the doctor. I seen Kenny Boschman come in here a second ago. Kenny, why don't y'all come on over here? Let's tell what all that smoke and fire was about on your run out there while we're waiting for Lee to get the doctor running out here. This is Kenny Boschman, who just, we still got some of your blue smoke in the air. Kenny, what happened?
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, we know that, but what happened to your truck out there during that pull, or don't we talk about it?
Oh, just had an oil leak, nothing serious.
Nothing serious? It's ready to go. If you would have had to pull it again tonight, you'd have been ready to go.
Absolutely.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a fine competitor. Let's hear it for him, Kenny Boschman. So Lee's sitting out there, and we'll remind him he can hear me now. Lee, it's 14 out of 16. 111 feet, 1/2 inch to mark the beat. He smiles at me, and I can't repeat what he just uttered. 111 1/2 inch. 112 is what you're going to go. Okay, he says 112. We'll look to see what's going to happen here. As Lee Sandulak sits on board, we've got just a little tie-up in the tunnel at the far end down there that we'll have to clear out of the way. It'll just take a second or two. And while we're waiting, we've got those great people who helped us here again. Of course, the New Holland right here out of Brandon. And, of course, Cosgrove Equipment Limited. They've got the Hessen that's been maintaining the track here throughout the evening. CNC Rentals. They've provided us with a Bobcat and a little vibrator roller we've been using. And, of course, Anderson Auto Parts Limited. We can't say enough about Ron Sanders and all the guys over there at Anderson's. They've brought the wreckers out here to help us along. And they've also got the cars that we're going to be crushing here a little bit later. And another guy walking around the track here, that's Dan Bacon. He was supposed to be the first competitor up in the pulling order, had trouble getting his truck running. I talked to Dan a second ago while he was over here walking by. He said he had put a brand new starter in that truck last night, and the new starter took a dumper on him, but he's got it ready to go, so he's going to be out here in just a little bit. So Dan Bacon's truck ready. Kenny Boschman didn't hurt his too bad, just minor oil leak on his machine, he tells us. And now the doctor's sitting at the line ready to go, and he says he's going to go 112 feet. So we'll wait to find out. As we see, the trucks are starting to move up through the tunnel right now. Now it's just a little bit of a traffic jam outside the back door. Also, don't forget, we've got the Coors Light Silver Bullet Jumping Combine. That's out here. It's going to be coming in the arena just a little while. And, of course, Track Attack. He's sitting outside the back door. And we've got some old cars that we're going to turn him all loose on just a little bit later. And tomorrow night, we'll be right back here at 8 o'clock with some of the wildest mud bogging action you're going to find anywhere. We're going to scrape all this dirt in here into a nice, delicious mud bog, and we're going to turn the mud boggers loose, so we want you back here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Also, after the show this evening, don't forget that the novelty stand will be open, so if you want to stop up, Get yourself one of those souvenir hats or T-shirts. They've got some posters on sale, all kinds of neat things. Don't forget that. And there's also some stuff up there. We've got some Dr. Hood hats on sale up there. There's just a few of those. Kenny Boschman has got some of his stuff up there from the Univision powder blue machine that you've seen out here a while ago. So don't forget that. We get the high sign. We're ready to light the fire, and here we go. Here he comes out of Carman, Manitoba, Canada. Told us he's going to go 112 feet. Here comes Lee Sandulak with Dr. Hook, 1973 El Camino. Sandulak with Dr. Hook. You know what? He lied to us because he just got a full pull. Well, he's got it shut off. He can hear you now. There he is, Lee Sandulak, Dr. Hook. All right, Lee Sandulak moving way over to the left-hand side of the track and doing exactly what you should do, and that's pound the horsepower into the ground. So Sandulak with a full pull sets in the #1 spot right now, and we've got a few more competitors yet to go out here. So Lee Sandulak with Dr. Hook. All right, Ed Wyshynski. As we make one more pass with that Cogsgrove tractor out there. Back to the sled. We'll drop the hook in the hitch, and he's going to be ready to run. Remember, it's a Dr. Hook machine. Lee Sandulak starting in the #1 spot with a full pull. And now, the Wyshynski brothers, Rambo. 505 cubic inch Sloan Chevrolet on board a 1978 Dodge. Wild ride, Eddie Wyshynski with Rambo. So Rambo coming up a little bit short out there, it appears. Of course, we wait for the official measurement on each and every ball. As Ed Wyshynski with the Rambo machine. Alan Brown heading the sled back to the starting line. Wyszynski heads Rambo on out the back door. And the measurement being made on Eddie Wyszynski's Rambo machine. 112 feet, 4 inches. 112 and 4 inches for Ed Wyszynski with Rambo. So Ed moves into the number 2 spot. And now a gentleman out of Broadview, Montana. Here comes Al Sandback. He's going to be driving a 1959 Chevrolet with a 525 cubic inch blown Chevrolet on board. Al Sandback getting ready to go, as we said, Broadview, Montana, as he's setting on board. Waiting for the track to be prepared. Remember, it's still Lee Sandulak with Dr. Hook setting in a number 1 spot with a full pull. And now Al Sandback waiting to see what he can do. The sled now moved over to the far left-hand side of the track. However, when Eddie Wyszynski was into his pull, he had started the sled on the left-hand side of the track, and it drifted over to the right on him. And he managed to get a nice pull and wind up in the number 2 spot here. So Lee Sandulak holding down the lead with the Dr. Hook machine. Ed Wyszynski with Rambo setting in the number 2 spot. And Al Sandback with the Cannonball Express out of Broadview, Montana. As that engine comes to life and we get ready to go, 1959 Chevrolet. 525 cubic inch blown Chevrolet on board. Al Sandback. Back to the line, Broadview, Montana. 1959 Chevrolet. 525 cubic inch blown Chevrolet. Here he comes, Al Sandback with the Cannonball Express. Al Sandback with that Cannonball Express machine of his. something wrong in the clutch. Wait to see if Al's going to be able to get it to move. No, he's going to need a tow. So something going in the clutch on Al Sandback's machine. He's had a beautiful, beautiful run out there. He's come all the way from Broadview, Montana. There he is. Let's hear it for him. Al Sandback! So Al taking the clutch out right at the end of the line. And he moves into the number 2 spot with a distance of 117 feet 8 inches. 117 and 8 inches for Al Sandback with the Cannonball Express. So Sandback moves into the number 2 spot. And we see Ron Hackenkamp taking the Chances machine out of the arena. He's the one who won it all in the 4x4 modified division here tonight. Now, Dan Bacon sitting on board, getting ready to go. He had some problems earlier trying to get that engine to start. As we said, the starter was apparently out of it. They've been working on it over there. They say they've got it ready, so let's see how we're going to do. Here he comes. He's out of Regina, Saskatchewan. His name is Dan Bacon. He's driving a 1977 Chevrolet. 427 cubic inch blown Chevrolet on board. And now it comes to line. He wants to give special thanks to Drew over at the Trail King as he gets ready to move that machine onto the track. Also sponsored by Speedy Muffler from Regina, Saskatchewan. Here comes Dan Bacon, the new kid in town. Moving that sled way over to the far left-hand side of the pulling surface out here. Got it in neutral. Will make the hook. He'll be ready to run. Remember, it's Dr. Hook. Lee Sandulak setting in the number 1 spot. But here he comes from Regina, Saskatchewan. Here comes Dan Bacon. 1977 Chevrolet, the new kid in town. Dan Bacon, the new kid in town. Got the lights moving around a little bit up on here as the exhaust blowing straight on up. So Dan Bacon working hard to get that machine running, the new kid in town. Dan starting out on the left-hand side of the track. The truck drifting over to the right-hand side of the track on him. As Dan Bacon takes the new kid in town down the track. And now we've got one more competitor yet to run. So it's Lee Sandulak, Dr. Hook, still holding down the lead. And one more competitor yet to go out here. Measurement being made on Dan Bacon. And the distance, 98 feet, 5 1/2 inches. 9, 8, and 5 1/2 inches. And the last competitor coming out on the line right now. Remember, it's Chevrolet holding down the lead. And here comes one of the Ford products. Here comes Lynn Luckett. You've seen him out here as the very first puller. He turned down his pole, and now he's coming back one more time. The 1985 Mercury Cougar with a 572 cubic inch Ford on board. It's alcohol injected as he gets ready to run. Lynn Luckett out of Winger, Minnesota. His second run here tonight with that hot brandy machine of his. A beautiful looking 1985 Mercury Cougar. Lynn moving that sled over to the far left-hand side of the track also. He slides it into position. All right, we've got Lee Sandulak driving a Chevrolet in a number 1 spot. We've got a Ford product at the line. How many Chevy fans are here? And how many Ford fans? Well, we're going to find out as Chevrolet holds the lead. Ford at the line from Winger, Minnesota. Here he comes driving a 1985 Mercury Cougar, 572 cubic inch alcohol injected Ford. Here comes Lynn Luckett with Hot Brandy. Remember, he needs a full pull. Anything less than that, and the victory goes to Sandulak. Engine not coming up in RPM for him, so apparently something a little bit wrong with the brandy machine here tonight. But he gave it a beautiful run anyway. He's out of Winger, Minnesota. His name, Lynn Luckett, driving Hot Brandy. Well, we see a mighty happy guy standing over on the far side. He has made it 14 out of 16. The last 16 times out, he's won 14 times. We'll get you the rundown of the top 3 or so here as soon as we get the distance on Lynn Luckett with Hot Brandy.
Second. Would that be second? Yep, 117.
Lynn Luckett taking the brandy mobile out of the arena. And the distance for Lynn Luckett, 82 feet, 9 1/2 inches. 82 feet and 9 1/2 inches. I'd love to have Vanna have another car to give away here. Well, he's sitting out back, getting buckled in right now. There he goes. It comes to life, and we're ready to go. He'll be coming into the arena in just a few moments from now. He's out of Fargo, North Dakota. The driver's name is Ernie Brookins, and he's driving the Coors Light Silver Bullet Jumping Combine. Remember, we've got the Jumping Combine out back, and we've also got Track Attack setting out there. It's idling away. We hear it coming down the ramp right now as he gets ready to come on in. And here we go, Ernie Brookins with the Silver Bullet Jumping Combine. Coming on into the arena, getting ready to go. He's out of Fargo, North Dakota. Ernie Brookins with the Coors Light Silver Bullet Jumping Combine. getting ready to line it on up. Setting on the ramp. Remember the next time there, it's 52 miles per hour on Santa Gets Another Car. All right, he backs it on down, getting ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say no more other than here he comes from Fargo, North Dakota, Ernie Brookins with the Coors Light Silver Bullet Jumping Combine. Get out there, get it shut off. Looking at it on its side. All right, Ernie going for a wild ride out there. He's still sitting inside. Ladies and gentlemen, Ernie Brookins! Ernie, come on over here. We'll need a wrecker in here to put it back on its wheels. By the way, there are some Coors Light Silver Bullet Jumping Combine posters on sale up on top. Ernie, that was quite a ride. You normally don't do it that often. How are we going to get it off the wall?
Well, I don't know. We'll get it off the wall, but, you know, I looked up in the grandstand and seen all these people paid $10, and we figured we could give them a show tonight. Not only that, we still have the track machine coming out here called Track Attack. We're going to smash some cars. See you tomorrow night. We'll have that machine running again.
All right, you heard it. He said he'll be back tomorrow night. One more time, Ernie Brookins. Now, there are some posters on sale up on top at the novelty stand. After the show, you can come on down. Ernie will be happy to sign them for you, give you some autographs. So while we're moving the ramp out and getting the junk cars in, if you want to sneak up, get one of those posters before they're all gone. You've got some time to do so here. So we're going to take the ramp out right now. Just when you think you've seen it all, Ernie goes and does something like this. So, like I say, if you want to get one of those posters before they're gone, no one is allowed on the floor as of yet. We've got people coming on the floor. No one allowed on the floor. We've still got Track Attack coming out here. You think that was damaged? Wait till we turn that 24,000-pound tank loose on them cars. So a wild and exciting evening. By the way, he did miss the car. So, we'll turn on some music here while the ramp goes on out, and we'll put the combine back on its wheels, and we'll be ready to go. You heard him. He said he's going to be back here tomorrow night. There'll be a lot of work on this machine. Don't forget those posters if you want to get one of them before they're all gone. I imagine they're going fast, so run on up, get one. Ernie will be happy to autograph it before the show is over.